I have 5 pigs personally. I do feature one of my pigs occasionally on social media. He was mauled by a dog before I owned him, and his ear gets gross.
Uh,
Occasionally, he is featured on a social media post.
Hey, I'm Emma, and welcome to Human Animals, the podcast where we explore the deep, complex, and often surprising relationships between people and the animals that share our world. In each episode, I'll invite a guest to dive into the bonds that unite us with the creatures we live alongside. Whether they are big or small, pets or wildlife, we'll unpack the ways animals shape our lives and challenge our understanding of what it means to be human. Join me on this journey where every episode is a reflection of the ties that bind us all. I'm so excited for you to meet Emily. I've known her for a few years now. She trims my pigs' hooves. And if you didn't know, pigs need their little feet trimmed every few months. And that is exclusively what she does. She travels the country doing that. She's built a business with other pig trimmers who she's trained to do the same thing. And together they run this incredible operation, seeing thousands of pigs every year, helping them out. She has such a positive outlook on rescue situations and pigs that are in some need of help, and making sure people don't feel shame or guilt about that, and just being happy to be there and to help them there in that moment and going forward. She is a ball of energy. I love talking to her, learning about pigs. And if you have a pig, you should definitely go to her website and sign up on her list. And if not, I hope you enjoy learning about this really fascinating world. Fun fact, I have my own small business called Miko's Choice, which is the sponsor for this episode because it's my business, this is my podcast, and I can make the rules. In all seriousness though, Miko's Choice offers high quality CBD products for all animals, dogs, horses, pigs, cats, you name it, I have them covered. I used my background in animal science and cannabis to bring these products to life, and I'm beyond thrilled to see how they help improve animal health and wellness. They're also inspired by my personal animals and my own journey through breaking my back, recovering, and getting my dog through cancer. So there's a lot of love behind this business. Feel free to check it out at mikoschoice.com and use code HUMANANIMALS for a discount. If you have any questions, email me anytime, info@mikoschoice.com. That's MIKKOSCHOICE. Thanks. Okay, thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
I know you're super busy because I honestly don't know how you travel so much and do so much. It's really, I love watching it online. It's really impressive.
I have the best job ever. It makes it easy.
Yeah. What made
Airport,
you
not so
start
much.
this job?
It really started back when I was in high school. I wanted to be a farrier, and so I started my apprenticeship to be a farrier when I was 18. About 10 years ago, a little bit more than 10 years ago now, I had somebody approach me about trimming their pig, and I really didn't know much about trimming their pig, but I had been a farrier for, over a decade at that point. So I did some research and went for it and gave it a go. And the lady, I told her, I said, I really don't know what I'm doing. Great. This is like a big task. And she was like, oh, it'll be fine. Just follow along. And I said, okay. And what I saw was pretty horrific.
Mm.
It was pretty bad. And by no fault of the owners, these people love their pigs dearly. But the standard of care that they were using at the time to complete their hoof care was pretty atrocious. And it hurt my heart and it hurt my brain. And I said, holy cow, full stop, let's all back up. We got to do this a little differently. And so I sort of took over that appointment then just out of basic humanity, for the
Mhm.
animal. It needed to be better, and bless the owners. They just, didn't know better. So after that appointment, I started dedicating myself more towards doing research and learning anatomy and biomechanics and learning more about them. And then they asked if they could, put out my name. And I said, sure. And at the time, I had a full business of horse customers. I had a full book of clientele for horses that I had been doing, horses, donkeys, mules, things like that. And it went out to a very big email list. a very
Oh.
big email list was sent out. And then I started hearing more and more horror stories as I went out to appointments of people saying, oh, this is what happened at the vet, or, my last pig died during anesthesia,
Oh.
or some guys came and roped him like a cow and tied off their legs to the four corners of a stall,
Oh.
snout snares,
Oh.
giving him beer ahead of appointments, just lots of really,
Okay.
really horrible stories. And I thought, holy cow, I could just do better myself.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's a gene Elise Myers says that some of us are blessed with.
Yeah. Oh, she's great.
How hard could it be? And so I started realizing as I got more and more business that I couldn't trim all the pigs. Like there's just no way. I mean, I have a busy calendar and a busy schedule, but there's just no way. And that was even after, kicking some horses off the books and making more and more time, for pigs.
Mhm.
And so I realized that the standard of care couldn't really be upheld just by, random people. And I would hate to refer somebody to a random person, and it might be a terrible experience. So I decided to start my business, the More Method Group, where I had apprenticeships that people did underneath me. So we all have the same standard of care and the same way that we trim and the same things that we do. And currently now we have over 10,000 customers and over 13,000 pet pigs on the care of the books, in the US and overseas.
That is so cool. Yeah, I am fascinated by also like the business that you have built, like exactly what you just said, teaching these people. And I've met some of your apprentices as they come around. But I just want to tell people like the method that you're talking about is called, you have coined it like flipping them. And I
Right.
think when people hear that, they're like, what do you mean flipping them? But could you just explain a little bit more about like how that is and why that's the more humane method?
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't exactly invent flipping the pig. The standard of care at the time when I had that first appointment was people, you have to use your imagination a little bit here, unless I have a pig right here. Okay, we're going to have a voluntary pig. Came
Okay.
to the meeting. So what people were doing was they were grabbing their pigs by their armpits and they were sitting them on their butts
Okay.
like that. So their feet were like sticking out sideways. And then somebody would like sit in a chair or sit on the ground and hold them sitting on their butts. The problem with that is pigs were breaking their tails and herniating discs in their back, and they were tusking
Mhm.
owners in the arm because, like, you can imagine their
Sure.
head flailing around. And this is not a good position for a pig to be sat in. Now, you can do this to sheep. Sheep can sit on their butts, when
Yeah.
shorn, like that's totally fine, but pigs
Right.
don't sit on their butts good.
Hmm.
So what I did in that appointment was we went from here and I said, no, no, no. And I just laid the pig back down. Pigs aren't ruminants, so you're not really going to upset their tummies. And I just worked with them in this position. It's kind of important to note my background in sports is in wrestling. And so I wrestled all through high school. And so I can hold a pig. It's, you can hold them with your feet,
Uh-huh.
and work around them in a safe position so they're not stressing their back and they're not, breaking their dew claws, scratching the ground. So it's a much more humane position to work, and it's also so much safer for the handler and the pig. So much easier. Those people were working way too hard back in the day
Yeah.
to try to restrain in that position. So
Totally.
what we do now, it's super important for everybody to know there's a no feed rule for at least 2 hours ahead of the appointment because we don't want to get aspirational pneumonia. But what we do is we get the pig in a confined and controlled workspace, either in their house or out in the barn, and we grab the two sets of legs on the far side and we flip them over onto their back very quickly, ideally, and then we step over with our feet kind of pigeon-toed underneath them, and we support them so that we can trim their front feet. And then when we turn around to do their back feet, we just hold their legs, turn around, and work on the back feet. From that position, we can get to almost all of the pig. I mean, with the exception of like the middle of their back. So we can check their teeth, we can check their eyes, check their ears, do their hoof trim, do any face washing that's needed, anything like that, check out any weird skin things that may be going on. And it's just a much safer position to be in. So while I'm not the one that invented it originally, I'm definitely the one that popularized it and how we work around them. And it got coined the More method because my last name is Mohring. So we put the more in More method.
I love it. Yeah, it's very seamless, when you
Oh,
see
thank
you do it. And it is so much more humane than all of those things that you referenced. And also, and as you referenced earlier, anesthesia for pigs is very dangerous. It can be, just the way that they absorb those drugs. And so many pigs are lost under anesthesia. And this is just something that's like, yeah, if they don't need it, let's not.
Yeah, and I would definitely say, we're not a vet, like in huge writing, we're not vets.
Sure, yeah.
A lot of stuff that people would take their pig to the vet for, we can address at their appointments ahead of time, right? So, like,
Yeah.
if the pig has a head tilt, if you take him into the vet and put him under sedation, they're going to look in their ear, and then your pig might have all these problems and get injured at the vet by no fault of anybody, but just, panicking or whatever. I can look at their ear the same way,
Mm-hmm.
while we have them down, and then I can also let them right back up and see if they still have a head tilt, and if they do, we can flip them again
That's a good point.
and take another look. They have that immediate, they're not sedated, they're not wibbly, so we can just see kind of what's going on. And sometimes it's something, where they're worried about it's in their mouth or they're not eating, and somebody's taking their pig to the vet because they're not eating. Maybe their appointment, is coming up quick, and we look and there's a big stick in their mouth. They had chewed on a stick in
Mm.
the yard, and there was this massive thing wedged between their teeth that we can pull out with a set of forceps. They pop up, and immediately they're fine, right? They were just,
Yeah.
there was a big stick in their mouth. But otherwise, you'd have to load them in the car, take them to the vet, get them into the clinic, either in a crate or on a harness, go through the sedation, pay for the procedure and everything, and then deal with bringing a sedated animal home,
Mm-hmm.
thrashing around or getting sick and having all these problems. And sometimes they end up coming out of the vet with a more severe issue than they went into the vet for.
Mm-hmm.
It might just have been a head tilt, but while they were there, they fell down and hurt their shoulder on the slick floor,
Right.
or something like that. Not
Yeah.
to mention it takes all day. It's super
Yes.
expensive. It's a pain in the butt. The pigs
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be there. I don't think the vets really want us there all the time either,
Yeah.
depending on what's going on. So a lot of times it's just easier to do those in-home checks. And we definitely are the first to say when you need a vet, we'll say what's out of the scope of our practice and,
Mm-hmm.
when to go. But at the same time, we can also say that looks like a pretty normal head tilt and there's probably just some water in there from spraying the hose, and let's see if we can dry it out.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes complete sense. And also, there's just not a lot of vets that see pigs.
Right. That's a huge problem for a big portion of the United States for sure.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the farm vet in general is going away because the job is hard. The job is physically demanding, just like yours is. And also, I think there's a little bit of a financial thing. People are a little reluctant to spend on their farm animals and whatnot. But yeah,
Compassion fatigue and the suicide rate is also sky high for farm vets.
yeah, absolutely.
Incredibly challenging position to be in. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's really hard to do for sure. So, yeah, that's what, and it's funny because I assist a farm vet. And so when we started working together, he works on pigs and he's very good, but he would flip them, but like just on their side, so they were just like
Right.
like shoulder on the ground sort of thing. And I was like, we could just
Keep
roll them
going.
a little bit more,
Just keep going.
and then I just stand over them like you do, and he's like, oh, this is like, yeah, this is the way.
Way easier. Otherwise, they flop like a fish trying to get up. Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people think that when we put them on their back, they're in like tonic immobility, like a shark. Like when you put a shark
Oh.
on their back and they go into like a trance.
Hmm.
And I perpetuated that on social media inadvertently by showing videos of sleeping pigs. That's
Oh.
just pigs that fell asleep during their appointment. They're wide awake. They can kick, they can thrash, they can move, they can bite, they can do all the things. They can talk to you the whole time. It's not like that tonic immobility. So they're still fully capable of, moving their body and doing all of those things. It's just a much safer position. And I think they fall asleep in it because it's so much more comfortable.
Yeah.
Like who wants to be in a super awkward position,
Right.
that's not fun. But yeah, that was a social media myth I inadvertently perpetrated was tonic immobility. Please fall asleep sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it's also amazing because I'm not the only one who's fascinated with what you do because you have a very large social media following as well. And so, what is your experience sharing about this work with that you do? Like, I can't imagine that everybody who follows you has pigs.
No, no. So that's funny. In the beginning, when I started the kind of social media journey of a lot of people would see videos on like TikTok or Facebook or Instagram and say, "Oh my gosh, you're a terrible person. You should call an expert to fix."
Uh,
And I was like, "Hi, I'm the expert that was hired to fix that."
yeah.
These aren't my pigs. Well, I have five pigs personally. I do feature one of my pigs occasionally on social media. He was mauled by a dog before I owned him, and his ear gets gross.
Um,
Occasionally, he is featured on a social media post.
mhm,
But these are all customer pigs that I'm seeing. These are, sometimes people do have emergencies, and it is a bad case. But I always try to tell people by the time you're seeing it on social media, the problem's fixed.
sure.
Like, we don't want to be mad at those people that made an appointment and did what they needed to do to resolve the problem.
Hmm.
You want to be mad about the people that I'm not featuring. You want to be upset about the pigs I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones living in dark corners that are in real bad shape that, I
Yeah.
can't fix them if I don't know them.
Hmm.
So I've worked really hard on social media to have a really positive place.
Yeah, you
We
have.
we don't bash owners. I'll delete people and block you so fast. It's all about personal growth, and a lot of people get pigs that aren't equipped to have them, or they didn't research about what they were actually going to be like. They didn't know that the average pig is about 150 to 200 pounds.
Hmm.
They didn't know that you can't have it and live in an apartment complex. And
Hmm.
sometimes you just got to meet people where they're at. But sharing the story is important because I want those people that have pigs in dark corners to reach out. I
Yeah.
want them to see that post and go like, "Oh, that's what mine looks like. I should do that." We want them to know it's a safe place, that you can come to get help for anything, related to your pig like that. It's also super important because some of the things that I've featured, like eye cleaning especially, owners go, "Oh my goodness, I never knew that was a pocket there." And
Mm.
then they'll go check and
Mm.
they'll be like, "Oh, you'll never guess what I found." And I love that because I can't check every pig's eyes every day. So,
Right.
it's good that they can get out there and do that. It's also raising the bar for other, I hesitate to call them trimmers, other people doing this that just watched like YouTube videos. It's sort of resetting the bar for what is standard of care. So
Hmm.
when people see all of my posts on social media and realize that the bar is here, if they run into an appointment where the bar is here, they say something. They're like, "Ooh, that's not like what I saw," or
Right.
that's not like what the video looked like. Or I had a lady recently, her pig was at the university because something was going on for a health issue, and they wanted to trim its feet while it was there, and she said no, and they did it anyway. And she said afterwards she made the vet look at my page to see before and after pictures to be like, "They don't look like that." So it's kind of setting the bar for what people should see and know what experiences can be like.
Hmm.
You can always say stop if an appointment's going poorly.
Right. Yeah,
And I
no,
think a lot of people forget that.
that is so true. So, so true. Yeah, one thing I really admire about like how you share these things is like you will see these cases that have really overgrown hooves and you're like, it's okay. Like we're here now. It's all better. Like they're on the schedule. Everyone's aware. Like let's just move forward. And I think people are scared to, like, as you said, call you or call a vet because they feel like guilt and shame about the shape that their animal's in. And it's super easy to judge somebody about that, of course, but we don't know their situation per se. And like, yeah, let's just be glad that they're reaching out and that they're getting help now.
Right. One of the things I was really saddened to see recently, there have been a couple other people that work with pigs for a living, recently put on their page that they're now charging people a $250 fee to trim their pigs if they deem the pig's feet like neglected, I think was the term they
Mm,
used, or like really overgrown, and they had been a customer previously, basically penalizing like missing appointments, right? Like,
uh,
it is sort of the idea. Like, if you're on my schedule regularly and all of a sudden your pig's feet are like terrible, I'm going to charge you 250 for that appointment. But by the way, that's subjective.
mm,
Right. That's just a subjective thing they're doing. And I felt so bad. And we got a lot of phone calls about it if we were going to be doing that. And I said, like, heavens no, why would I want to kick you while you're down?
right.
If you're having a problem, reach out. If you need a payment plan, let us know.
Hmm.
If it's an unattainable amount because of who knows what, communicate, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like communicate. And I really think it does a disservice to the pigs because now those people are going to be hesitating to book the appointment. If they're thinking, "Oh, I wonder if I'm going to get this extra fee," or, like, what is too bad? Too bad,
Right, right.
and it's all fixable for the most part, like, and you just got to work with people. But yeah, life happens. The economy is hard.
It is.
Unexpected things break. life,
Hmm.
be lifing, you know?
Hmm.
And sometimes animals do get pushed to the back burner if there's something else going on, traumatic in life or something, severe going on. And, just communicate. We'll be here to help when you're ready.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it just rings so true and it's so important. And I just love that that's your outlook on it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely in this, and everybody in my business is definitely in this for the love of the pigs and helping them, feel better. It's a wonderful thing when you can walk into a situation where there's this pig that's like lame and struggling and can't stand to eat, or like literally can't stand to eat their food.
Hmm.
And they go down on their knees, and to be able to fix it in like 20 to 30 minutes and just be like, well, bam. And then you let them up and they're like, holy cow, my feet feel great,
Yeah.
and they start walking better, or they go down the steps they haven't walked on, for a year, or they've gone out that slider door, or
Mhm.
whatever. It's an amazing sense of gratitude that you get from the pigs, right? Like that, and that's who the main customer is.
Yeah,
Here for them.
it
The people
totally
just
is.
write us checks.
Right. Yeah, definitely. No, I totally understand being in it for the animal, and the people are like, yeah, okay.
Right?
Yeah, I guess you're part of this too. So, when you made the shift from horses to pigs, was it like, have you been drawn to pigs in a like, oh, I just love them as like a species and their personality and how they are? My pigs are running around downstairs right now. What are they doing down there?
It's Lily.
Probably. It's probably Patrick running after Lily. Yeah, so why pigs?
I really enjoyed working with the horses, donkeys, and mules. And of those three, donkeys are incredibly intelligent.
Hmm.
And it's a lot of fun building relationships with these so-called like problem donkeys, that people had, because they are so incredibly smart, right? So it's
Yeah.
almost like, working with a person kind of. And then with the pigs, when they came along, they are so smart, and they're incredibly emotional beings,
Hmm.
very sensitive. They bruise like a peach,
Yeah.
their egos, like they just are very tender. And boy, have they gotten the short end of the stick a lot of times.
Hmm.
And it's like you're dealing with this hyper intelligent being with double the amount of feelings that most animals have, right?
Hmm.
And you're doing some of the worst things to them.
Yeah.
So the way I teach it in my apprenticeship program is trauma informed response, right? You got to kind of meet them where they're at in their journey, right? So for the pig that got roped off to the four corners of a stall like he was a cow on his back, I didn't let a bunch of other people come watch because too many people made him nervous, right? Like that's the experience he had. We try to make it a different experience so that they know they're safe. The problem is the first time they don't know. So, you're dealing with an animal that thinks it's going to have whatever the fight was last time.
Hmm.
And a lot of times those memories aren't clear or coherent, because if they were sedated, it's kind of like a fever dream of what, they're going to remember or not remember.
Sure.
So I had a real draw to working with them based on, just how smart they are, and how, I don't want to say emotionally intelligent, they're not. They'll pitch a fit over anything. But just you can reason with them, a fair amount of the time
Hmm.
if you're open to that. I think where a lot of people struggle working with pigs is they want to push them around and just shove them around and push them around, when really it's like asking somebody to move. You could just be like, excuse me, would you like to go over there?
Yes.
Have a conversation over just shoulder checking them.
Hmm.
They're definitely sentient beings. They're have all the feels, and it's fun to work with them and build that relationship where it gets better and better every time. They might not love me, but they know they feel better, and they know
Right.
they're safe. They
Right.
know they're going to get a good treat when I'm done.
Mhm.
And I just think they're super deserving. Like they weren't getting a lot of focus. They, get pushed by the wayside by a lot of vets. They get pushed by the wayside by other farriers. They get, pushed by the wayside when your kid goes to college.
Mhm.
Just get pushed a lot. And so I think they needed a bigger spotlight and a bigger focus on that. Happy to be the one to do it for them. I think they're pretty remarkable.
Yeah, you're doing a great job about it. Yeah, I love seeing what you share and sharing about them personally online. I mean, people are really drawn to them, and the more that you can show all of these sides of them, people are like, "Oh my God, I had no idea."
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
really hard to explain too.
And there's a lot of stuff that would be even weirder if I had a film crew that was with me, that like isn't on social media. I had an appointment not that long ago. The lady was talking trash about her ex-boyfriend because God bless America, that's what we're here for. And and her pig halfway through, she like made a point about something, and I swear her pig was like, "Yeah." Like upside down getting dremeled, but just, responded at like the exact perfect time.
Mm.
And the pig wasn't like yelling the whole appointment, right? She was like listening to the conversation, was like, yes. And I
Yeah,
thought
that guy.
it was hysterical. Um, they're so interesting, they're super interesting. Like I don't have it on film, but I have a pig I do in Central California, with kind of deformed hind feet, and she doesn't love me, but when I show up to the house, she walks to the laundry room. She'll just,
Oh,
I show up and I go, hello, and she turns and she just scoots her little butt right to the laundry room because she knows where we go. She knows what we're doing. I
cute.
have other pigs that I see regularly that'll be in their pen and I like need them to move and I'll be like, excuse me, you know we're supposed to be over there. And they'll do it. They'll be like, oh yeah, you're right. And sometimes they give you guff about it and sometimes they're having a bad day.
Mhm.
But it's fun to get to know them, to know when it is a bad day or know when they're, feeling goofy or, it's fun to get to know them like that for sure.
That's really sweet. Oh, that's just going to the laundry room. It's like so touching. She's like, okay, yeah, you can help me.
Yeah, for sure. No, they're definitely cool. And there's other times that you can yell at them or get after them for doing something goofy they shouldn't be doing, and they'll look at you like, "What?
Yeah.
Me? Oh, I would never dig a hole under the fence. I would never do that." And you're like, the dirt's on your face."
Right. Yeah, I just love that like look that they give you when when their ears go forward and they like kind of
Oh
put
yeah.
their head down. They're just like, what? Which is the look that I just walked in on Patrick.
They're just really, really cool, really, really neat creatures. And I just don't think a lot of people give them the attention they deserve.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. One thing that came to mind just now, it's really interesting. I feel like, so as a farrier, like horses and pigs, right? Like for people that don't know, generally you meet the farrier and you like hold your horse for them, or like, you're present for these pig appointments with you. And you're there for like 20, 30 minutes or so, and it's happening like every few weeks or few months if you're pigs. And I do sort of feel like over time, like as you said, like you learn things about your clients, and like I learn things about you, and like my horse's farrier, and it's like this really interesting like dynamic of like this relationship that forms, and you just learn so much about people's lives and like what they're going through.
Yeah, we have, and I've never talked about it publicly before. Customers know, but we have a chief crochet officer in my business. It's my mom. It's my mom. And anytime we have either a family or a grandparent that's expecting a baby, my mom sends off a baby blanket and some little booties to them.
Oh,
We send condolence cards when pigs pass away. It's a lot of fun to see kids grow up. Families, they're present for appointments. I've painted pigs' toenails for the 4-year-old's birthday party,
cute.
get a pig prettied up before a family wedding that was going to be happening at the
Oh,
house. Seen people have accidents, terrible, terrible accidents.
sure.
I had one customer, I don't think she would mind me telling the story. She paid her trip fee for her appointment, went out, got in her car to go meet somebody, and got in a terrible car accident. And a family member called and tried to cancel the appointment because she was hospitalized and it was a very bad situation. And I said, "Oh no, no, if she wakes up and find out that her pig didn't get her, no,
Yeah,
no,
right. No, totally.
no." I said, "No, she may be unconscious, but she paid the trip fee, and I guarantee you she would be big mad to find out, that her pig got canceled."
Yes.
And they were worried about the money, and I was like, "Oh no, no, no." So I refunded the trip fee back. That trim was on me. They weren't
Mhm.
home, obviously, but the
Yep.
pig lived in the backyard, and but it's like, no, 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 we can't do that.
Yeah.
I've trimmed pigs after their owners have passed because
Um,
my phone number gets left on the refrigerator, and inevitably people are like, "Oh God, there's a pig," and so I called. It's like Emily the pig lady, and my
mhm.
phone number. It's great when people move because we can keep them under the care of our business. So one of my
Hmm,
customers just moved from Central California to Tennessee. So now she's seeing the other little Emily, the other Emily in the business.
great.
Um, so if people move, we can keep the notes, keep that continuity of care, and they're just going to, meet a new hoof person. It's super funny when they move from two of my roots. I had a pig, Frank the lady pig. She moved from upstate New York to Southern California. And when I showed up in Southern California, she was like, oh, how
Whoa.
did you find my house? It was really funny. They just happen to be two of the areas I cover. But, so yeah, we can definitely stick with them. We also stick with pigs through multiple owners sometimes.
Oh.
Where, if they get rehomed, the business card kind of goes along with them, or,
Hmm.
they'll say, oh, you got to sign up at this website to get, the feet done.
Hmm.
And so we've actually answered questions for new owners about the pig because we've known them longer than they
Oh,
have. Uh,
yeah. That's great.
right, to be able to know that. So yeah, being able to, meet so many friends along the way, and so many people have so many cool jobs, things you would have just never thought about, having conversations with people that were all drawn together by pigs. Like, what a small world.
I know. Well, it really is a small world, especially the pig community. It's
Oh yeah.
really, and people are just so passionate about your like pigs. Like totally if I was that person in an accident, yes, I would have been like they missed their appointment.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, she did confirm that she's doing fine now. She's made a full recovery. She's doing great. But that is one of the things she commented about. She was like, "Thank you so much because they told me they call." And then she tried to pay me back for the appointment, and I was like, "Just you had more going on than I did at that moment,
Yeah.
But yeah, she did say thank you for that, and her pig is still on a regular 3-month schedule. But yeah, I was like, hard no, we can't miss that.
Yeah. No, I resonate with that so much.
I would break into your house
Yeah. No, I mean, you know how.
and be like, they're in here somewhere.
You're right. Lily's probably in the bed. Patrick would run, but that's okay. You get him.
Sure. It's also nice getting to know these people and their families and stuff, and their property in cases of emergency. So I've helped guide in during some California wildfires. I've helped
Mhm.
guide in some people, onto some backwoods roads. It's like, no, no, keep going. You
Yeah.
haven't gone to the old rusted out truck yet. Like, don't turn. But being able to help people in emergencies, if somebody ever calls me, not that I would ever give out customer information to anybody, but if there's a wildfire in the area, or I've had some situations with family emergencies, very severe family emergencies, where you don't have a pet sitter,
Mm,
you don't like, you're not going to find a cat lady to come feed your pig, especially if they don't know pigs bark at people. Uh,
right.
Freaks out people.
Mhm.
I have called other people in the area and said, hey, I have somebody that is, relatively nearby to you experiencing an emergency. Do you think I could put you in touch and maybe you could go throw some pellets or something, or you know what I mean? Like help out in those moments. Also, we've pulled that into use when somebody was trying to get their pig to the vet for an emergency,
Oh,
like trying to get them loaded into a trailer. If they reach out for help, I'll do what I can to get people there. So, kind of knowing who's capable and who's nearby is also a blessing sometimes.
yeah, that's great. Sign me up for those alerts.
Oh, you're there. If you ever called, I could help.
Yeah, or like, I can be the person too that
That's
you're like,
about the truck and trailer for
I
sure.
do. I got you. And whoever else is in this area. Yeah, it's like mind-blowing to me to think like I think one time you told me that you have like 800 pigs in this area or something like that.
There's a lot. There's like I think around 2,000 customers in Southern California alone.
Yeah,
Between
that's great. It's like
Southern California, there's a lot. It's funny across parts of the US, the population density just isn't there. Like we don't have
sure.
so many signups in Wyoming.
Sure.
North Dakota isn't a booming place. We still go. We still make regular runs. Even if only one person signs up, we will go. If you're in the notification window and you sign up, we will come. Nobody's going to say you're off the route. We wouldn't have notified you if you were off the route, like we're coming. But there are some places with higher population pig density than others, and Southern California has a lot of pigs. It's my next trip I'm actually heading out on, and it's a big one.
Cool. I love that. So how many people do you have like within your group?
So there's me, and then there's four other trimmers. There's Brandy, Little Emily. We call her that because she's younger and shorter. They call me Big Emily. I don't know how I feel about that, but they still do it. We have so little Brandy is Brandy's mobile hoof care service. Little Emily is Emily Ellsworth of Flipside Hoof Care. We have Harley Swan of Swan Swine Services, which I think is adorable.
Yes.
And we have Jillian Pittman of Snouting About Hoof Care. I had it written down next to me, so I had to look. So she's our newest trimmer. She graduated her apprenticeship this February, so she's been out and about since February. And so we all go out on our own routes. So there's five of us, and then we have four full-time office ladies working logistics.
Yeah, that's a whole operation.
Holy cow, is it? Yes, that
Yeah.
is, it's a lot more than any one person can handle, that's for sure. The logistics of what we do is amazing. I don't think a lot of people realize what goes into the trips, how many signups we have per trip, the logistics of like flying out there, making the routes, building the daily maps, setting the schedules, texting the schedules, making the maps to follow, booking hotel rooms, booking rental cars.
Hmm.
And then Ophelia, my poor amazing scheduler that is the queen of my universe, the wind beneath my wings, she has to do special stuff like if I'm meeting with, somebody for a podcast or, fitting in doing a speaking engagement somewhere or something like that. So yeah, the logistics are pretty intense.
Yeah, that whole part of the business is also just so fascinating to me. I have this is not the same, but I have run a delivery service for cannabis in LA, and it is like it's just all the logistics of like, okay, this person's going here, they have this, they got to do this, they got to do that, and it's just there's so much behind the scenes. So like when I get these texts from her, or when I text to be like, hey,
Yeah,
whatever, I just so appreciate like what she has to go through.
it's a lot.
Yeah, it's just it's incredible and like just the back and forth with people constantly and like knowing where they are and what they need and what's going on. Like there's just so much behind you and the other people in your group showing up to the door.
Yeah, we try to make it, as streamlined as possible. But if people are like making requests, if they want like Tuesday at 2 o'clock, that's probably not achievable,
Yeah.
because it depends on how many signups there are and where we're flying in and out of. And, some appointments are longer than others. We ask people to text pictures. That's not just because we want to see, but we're trying to see how bad the feet are so we can
Mhm.
schedule how long to be. She doesn't schedule the same amount of time at every appointment.
Sure.
So if the feet look terrible, or if we know your pig has a problem, or if I know it's going to take extra time because I have to wash their face off really well, or there's something going on, then that time gets booked longer. And then Southern California, especially, and you're sort of in this boat, can really get hammered just by traffic.
Oh,
Like
sure.
logistics can just bite the dust on the 405. Uh,
Yeah.
and so we do our best. We always finish the day. We always finish the day. I might show up late, but by George, I will be there.
Mhm.
Um, the only exceptions to that are cancellations for weather, and that's tough. And that's one of the reasons we run our routes as often as we do. So, like business wide, we're really we have to abide by the weather. So, like North Dakota only gets run twice a year because that third trip a year you just can't make work. Like you're going to have a snowstorm, you're going to be in a rental car on black ice. It's going to, something's going to happen.
Mhm.
So that route only gets run, twice a year, whereas Southern California, I go every 3 months. So if it's in the heat of summer and somebody has to cancel day of because they're worried about heat stroke, I'll be back in 3 months. We can sign back up next time, making, the continuity of care a little easier for sure. But yeah, weather is a big one. The logistics are huge. We try to make it work. If somebody says like, "Oh, I really need a weekend because I'm a teacher," or something, we really do our best. But I'll tell you, after the first appointment, a lot of neighbors let me in. A lot of people give me their codes to the door. A lot of people have their pen in a, their pig in a pen on the side yard.
Mhm.
I meet a lot of people's moms
Oh,
because their mom will be there to let me in, or their dad will be there to let me in, and
yeah.
so that's fun to meet the extended family. Uh,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
so funny you say that because when you were scheduled to come, you were scheduled to come here in like April, but then you rescheduled because you went to South Africa. But I was going to be gone for that appointment, and I was like, oh, okay, like what do but my brother was going to be watching the place. And every time you come, I always send the family group chat like the video, and they're like, oh, this is so great. They love it. I finally said to him, I was like, you get to meet Emily.
Today could be the day.
Yeah. It's like, you get to meet her. And he was like, I'm so pumped. And then when he didn't, I was like, oh, sad I
All right.
didn't get to meet her. And he was like, ah, okay. And then this last trip, yeah, and then you finally met Josh, my fiance. And again, I was like, you get to meet her. And he was like, cool. But
And
then,
then he left.
well, yeah, because the dog, but
Have to keep it safe for everybody.
yeah, his dog was like not gonna be able to handle the
Not too.
noise. So that's fine. It's
Yeah,
all
his dog was not equipped for Patrick's TED Talk.
no, no, no. I think that's maybe what was happening downstairs when he was in his crate.
That could be.
Yes. Yeah. So you are very well known for a lot of people out
I
there.
appreciate that. I
Yeah.
and a lot of people just know me as the pig lady or the hoof lady. I'm fine with all of it. It's
Yeah. It's all true. It all
yeah,
evolves.
kind of like how more people know me by my butt than my face.
That's such a farrier thing.
It is a farrier thing. It's true. It's why I have such a great relationship with Carhartt because their logo's always out.
It's always out there. Yeah. And their stuff is very strong for what you do.
It is. It's stronger than my legs, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It might tear your skin, but not your pants, and that's all that matters.
It's true. So you also do a lot of work with rescues, which I think is
Yeah.
great. And you have your own rescue that you
Founding board member of a rescue. Yeah.
yes.
Of my pig-filled life in Wills Point, Texas.
Hmm.
Super proud of Melanie, my friend that's the president out there that's been running that. She's amazing. We have a lot of pigs. I do believe right now there's 303 on site.
Wow.
We're on 45 acres. We currently go through 750 pounds of pig food a day.
A day?
A day at the
Wow.
rescue. Please, anybody listening, sponsor a pig. It's $20 a month. We could really use your help for the feed bill.
Yes.
Yeah, 750 pounds of pig food a day, and that's just pig pellets. They also still get produce and they get snacks and they get other stuff. But yeah, it's a lot. I really believe that rescues are out doing the hard work that nobody should be having to do. If personal accountability was, more of a thing, we would have far less pigs in rescues.
Yeah.
But so many people get them at flea markets. They get them as presents. Who does that, by the way? Don't buy somebody a pet as a present. That's a terrible idea.
Right. Here's this responsibility.
Yeah, for 20 years, here you go.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and they don't know they're zoned for them, or they didn't know they could be temperamental, or they didn't know you needed to get them spayed and neutered, and now, they've got this male amorous pig on their hands that, nobody's equipped to deal with, or it's tearing their house apart because they don't have enough enrichment. There's reasonable things that happen, life changes, things that happen. Some are a lot more reasonable than others. But like, I had a lady call me years ago and say, Emily, we have to rehome Penelope. My daughter got into college. And I said, I'm just as surprised as you are that Brittany got accepted to college. But what does that have to do with Penelope? Well, it's my daughter's pig. Well, come
Give
on.
her. Right.
Like, listen, Linda, they're a commitment. And I don't think a lot of people also realize how hard they are to rehome when they try to rehome them. They thought they were cute when they were little itty bitty and tiny. And now that they're bigger and have poor behavior because you didn't train them appropriately, or they have medical issues because they weren't fed appropriately, they're even less cute.
Hmm.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we have 303 of them on site currently, but I love doing work for rescues. I think they're out, really putting in the hard work every day, trying to keep these animals safe.
Hmm.
Um, it's an undersung job. Like the amount of physical labor, time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears that people are putting out at these rescues is astonishing. And, on social media, everybody's, you
Yeah.
happy, best face forward, giving this cultivated image of a day at the sanctuary, so it can get those likes on Instagram. But the person posting that picture is probably in tears, wondering how they're going to cover their next vet bill, or wondering how they're going to cover their next feed bill, or being like, oh boy, I hope we don't get some, bizarre avian flu that falls from the sky
Hmm.
and, everybody gets sick. And when they reach out for help, a lot of times it's an echo chamber, like there's nobody there. And it's really hard. It's really, really hard. Like, just, I get it. I've seen it. I do it. I'm part of it. And it's really tough. So, everybody in my business, we have a max cap on what we charge rescues for the day's worth of work so they can budget for it. It's a highly discounted rate. And man, we'll work all 8 hours for you like we own the place. Like, we'll just do everything we can do. Really, we're only limited by setup and help. Like, if we have to chase pigs, we're not going to get as many done in the day. You
Hmm.
know, if we're having to move them from like pen to pen or whatever, it's not going to be as fast. But a lot of these sanctuaries realize that the more efficient they are, the more work gets done,
Hmm.
and we're into working fast. We joke, and all of us in the business say we don't want to work hard for long periods of time, which is true. But also, we're trying to make it as fast as possible for the pigs or for the goats or, whatever we're doing for the sanctuary,
Hmm.
to make it as efficient as possible so they can get fed their breakfast or they can get fed their dinner or they can go on about their day with the least amount of disruption possible. We always answer our phone for, emergency issues. If something comes up, we can, look at it as quick as we can, help with intakes, try to help with rehoming, but gosh, it's tough. It's real tough. Adoption numbers for pigs, they just aren't there. And sanctuaries close. Eventually, people, have to quit if they don't have the money to pay the feed bill or they don't have the money to
Hmm.
pay the mortgage or too many animals get sick at once or who knows what. Then what do you do? And so sanctuaries have to close. And then we're trying to disperse those animals to other sanctuaries because Lord knows they're not getting adopted. We're trying to disperse those into other sanctuaries that are over capacity already. So it's like anything we can do to try to ease that burden on them or, help them feel not so alone and get the actual work done, that's a good day.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely. I know there's so much there. I have so much respect for the people that run the rescues and the sanctuaries. I've seen what they do as well, and it's just so hard,
it is.
physically and emotionally. And you're right, people don't understand how hard it is to rehome a pig. It is so hard.
It is. I work for a miniature horse rescue a dear friend of mine runs called Angels for Minis, and she's adopted out over 800 minis in
Whoa.
the last like 9 years. I could be wrong on that stat. Mary, don't come after me. Uh, but it's a lot, and it's because miniature horses are a lot cuter, and
Sure.
people know a lot more about them, and the equine community is big, and people go, "Oh, it can be a companion for my quarter horse," or
Right. Right.
sure, let's. People come and they go, "Let's take two." Yeah,
Mm.
let's, and I love that. I
Mhm.
love that so much, but it's so much harder with pigs,
Yeah.
to be like, "Hey, here's this moody guy. His name's Gary, and
Right.
he likes snacks, but he doesn't really love belly rubs because he's kind of standoffish."
Mm.
There's nothing wrong with Gary. That's fine.
Yeah.
But like people want to treat pigs like dogs when they're far
Mhm.
more like cats. Nobody's going to force affection on a cat, right?
True.
Like, you don't expect the cat to run up and jump in your lap. You don't expect the cat to be like, "Oh, you're home," to
Hmm.
somebody that they just met, right? Dogs are excited to greet everybody and they're loving and they're goofy and they're happy and they're outgoing. But that's not all pigs, and we shouldn't hold a grudge against them, or Gary shouldn't have a home because he's a little standoffish. That's just his temperament. That's just Gary, and that's okay.
Yeah. I love that. It's so true.
But it's hard to find a home for Gary. It's
Yeah.
really hard to talk to people and be like, "Hey, here's this pig that you can have. He's great. He's wonderful. Won't tear up your house. Build a pen for him in the yard. He might let you pet him sometimes."
Right. Well,
I
people
have
are.
I have three of them in my backyard like that right now. It's fine because I get it, right? So like
Mhm.
there's no pressure for them to be something they're not, but that's hard for some people to accept.
Yeah.
They want that adoption to come with loyalty and love, which is built over time.
Hmm.
That's not a quick thing.
No.
It's not an overnight fix, and it's sure not an overnight get with a lot of pigs. They need to know who you are. You're a stranger in a van.
A
Like,
stra- Your stranger in a van is gonna flip them over. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, absolutely. I don't trim my own pigs. Aunt Brandy comes and does that.
Oh yeah, that's smart. Yeah, I know. I've had to when Lily had her joint infection, she needed injections every day, and I was like, "Ah, okay, like here we go." But she actually was like super fine about it. She's like, it's no big deal. But
She's
what's
forgiving.
Yeah, she's very forgiving. But what's funny is so I was here, I had her, with my previous relationship, She knew him since she was a piglet, all good. And then we split, and then it was just me and the crew here for a while. And then my fiance came in the picture, and Lily would just bite him. Like he would be standing in the kitchen, she'd walk in, and she'd be like, "Oh," and would just like bite his ankle, and he'd like dance around, like, "What the hell?" And I would be like, "Lily, like, stop, like he's okay, you know?" And she would do that. It took her like months to stop doing that. And my mom is like, and yet, like, he kept coming around, you
I
know?
have to say this for the people that don't know. Lily is adorable and she's little and she's just the cutest jelly bean you've ever seen in the world. And she's so sweet most of the time.
Yeah,
To hear this behavior coming from her is pretty funny.
I
Um,
know.
well, I mean, not for him. He probably didn't think it was real
Now
funny.
it's funny.
But it's true. It's amazing. Like sometimes they don't, I mean, the vast majority of pigs don't love change. Some of
Yeah.
them are fine with it, but some of them are very set in their ways. They really like that routine. They like having the people around, They mourn loss. Like if somebody passes, they know their whole vibes will be off.
Hmm.
And that's not just people. Sometimes the pig is like in depression because the family cat died or the family dog died. That was like their companion. That was like their friend. Or if a family member passes, they definitely can get territorial of people after separations because I think some of them feel like the protectors. They're like, well, I'm gonna be man of the house now.
Mm.
Or in Lily's case, she was lady of the house.
Yeah. And I will
It's
say she stopped doing that. Now
good.
we are very good friends. They love each other very much. And it does just it takes the time.
Takes time. It just takes time. And, we want to give them the opportunity to have that time. We're not like sit down, shut up, and take it, like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be that way. You can be like, this is our new roommate. He's going to be around for a while.
Right. Yeah. He would not even come in the house.
Oh, how funny.
If he was visiting, like before he lived here, he would be out. It was like, so I always say my pigs are so bougie. Like when the sun goes down, they're like, we're inside, we're in our beds, we're on the couch. Like we couldn't possibly go outside. We can't possibly go outside if it's raining. Like they hate water.
Yeah,
They hate water, they hate mud. I'm like, this is so silly, but also like kind of okay because you do like get in the bed sometimes. So,
right.
but yeah, Patrick is so sensitive that he would be outside at night. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, like you're really upset right now by like this new human in my life. And again, eventually, like it's all good. They're really good friends. They get along. Like life is great. But yeah.
I think that's the moral of the story is it all evens out if you have a willing participant. So
Hmm.
like you can't make it work with somebody that's like, "Oh, I hate that pig. Put
Right.
that pig outside." And they're like trying to like kick the pig away from them and stuff. Like
Hmm.
that's not going to result in a flourishing relationship. And you don't want to escalate it, obviously by making them even more upset about things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's finding that teeter-totter balance of coming back to equality. Like where is our balance again in the family?
Hmm.
But yeah, that definitely happens. That definitely happens. And I think to some extent, that's why some of the pigs we follow home to home are kind of relieved to see us a little bit.
Hmm.
It's like everything in their life might be totally different, but if the same hoof lady is showing up, they're like, oh, I'm going to get that peppermint. And I go, yeah, here, I have a peppermint in my pocket for you. You'll know, they know what to expect at least with the appointment and what's going on. So yeah, they're interesting creatures.
Yeah, they really are. And it's just so hard to describe and for people to experience. But I feel like when people come and they spend time around them, they start to get it and they're like, oh, this is like so different and so special.
The other thing I want to touch on, not that you asked, uh,
Go for it.
is bizarre. So they're really complex creatures, right? And we all are acknowledging the intellectual and like emotional intelligence that these guys have in that aspect of them. As a farrier, the other aspect is that they're genetic dumpster fires. So not only are we working with an animal that, is highly intelligent and very emotional about this whole thing, if they're experiencing foot pain or leg pain or joint problems, And then we're trying to work with a toddler that's upset and angry and now is uncomfortable because they have these joint problems or they're overweight or whatever's going on. They're also high maintenance and understanding like the biomechanics of them and the way they're physically put together for how we do like our hoof trims on their feet. And this is where it gets dangerous when other people that like just watch YouTube videos or just watch TikTok videos and they're like, well, how hard could it be?
Mm,
The same thing I did. The difference was I did dissections and anatomical models and did research. And I was also a farrier for over 10 years by that point, already working on, hoof care and complex problems,
hmm.
in founder and laminitis and, things like that. So trying to work within the limitations of their biomechanics is also hard, uh,
Yeah.
like just from the technical aspect of the work we're doing. So you have these big emotional babies that are very upset, and then they're like, "But my foot hurts," and I go, "I know. That's why I'm trying to fix it. If you would just stop screaming at me." Uh, and then it's really tough because sometimes there's problems we can't fix, and there's biomechanical issues that, like, I know are going to lead to the rainbow bridge. Something is going to give out, or, something's going to change. And then you see that process happening over the course of their life. And oftentimes we have to be the one to kind of call it because when we're no longer comfortable grabbing them to flip them, to safely work on their feet or to humanely look in their mouth or check their eyes, that's kind of a hard stop. Like with horses, if they can't stand for the farrier because they're falling down or something, that's not safe because the farrier is going to get crushed or,
Mhm.
get hurt. The horse is going to get hurt. And so sometimes with these animals, the farrier is the one kind of making those life decisions.
Oh, definitely.
Say when we're no longer willing to be the one to do those things. That's tough too, but it's a privilege to know them during the time we get to have with them. So,
Yeah.
trying to keep it positive. But yeah, they're complex for a lot of ways. I have some farrier friends that look at some of my before and after pictures and wonder where I started because they're used to trimming feet that look pretty good. Like if all you work on is horses, all horse feet kind of look the same. You,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like within obviously a margin of error, you're kind of doing the same hoof trim per. But
Hmm.
when you look at a pig with like knees that are hyperextending backwards and feet that are paddle footing out forward, and you're like, oh, let's see what, we can do about
Yeah.
that. If they have a club foot or, something like that that we're trying to make corrections on. We can only work with what we're given. Um,
Hmm.
and sometimes with pigs, that's a little harder than others.
Yeah. I love the before and after pictures that you put up. And it's just like something about that angle of them just like this. It's so cute.
Well, and it's not a way anybody ever looks at their pig's feet.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
owners don't ever look at them that way. Like that is
Yeah.
not a typical position you're gonna see your pig in for sure.
No.
Um, one of the reasons I'm really big and all of my trimmers are really big about posting those before and after pictures are not because we get traction on social media. They don't. We're not doing it for clickbait. We're doing it to show what it should look like. We're
Yeah.
trying to train the eye of people that have pigs to say like, "Oh, my pig's feet are really long." And you go, yeah, they really are. But if you get used to seeing it every day, then you don't know kind of what it sort of should look like. So
Hmm.
we're trying to show like proof of how good the work is, proof of what the feet should look like afterwards,
Hmm.
proof that you can fix it, that inspiration for, the people we were talking about in the beginning,
Hmm.
so they can know it can be worked with.
Hmm.
But yeah, the before and after pictures are super important, I think.
Well, honestly, we're coming up on this hour, which is sort of my like sweet spot I like to be at. But yeah, I just really wanted people to hear about like your life and what you do because it's
Yeah.
like every time I tell people like, oh yeah, my pigs get trimmed, every 4 months, and Emily comes and she travels the country and she's got all these people working with her. They're like, what? It's like so fascinating and
So my
everything.
TikTok, I don't know where it was at last time I spoke to you.
You had just told me that it got hacked.
Okay, so it was sold on the dark web.
Oh.
They sold it. The IT company even found the listing where it went up for auction. I couldn't make this shit up if I tried. So it is gone forever, like non-recoverable, gone forever. The good news was when they sold it, they changed my username. They like
Huh.
changed it to something else, which doesn't matter. But what they did was when they changed the username, I got it back. So I
Oh,
made a new TikTok account and it's Emily the Trimmer, but it's Emily period the period trimmer period,
okay.
right? To like start over fresh.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know if you want to like mention the hacking, feel free to not if you don't want to. Like, I don't care. I don't care. But the new TikTok that's up, the my actual one is me with a pink pig.
Okay.
There's another one, if you look on TikTok, there's an imposter account that stole my content before and is posting under my name as an imposter account, which now I can't do anything about because I have no followers. Well, I think I have 72. Last time I looked, I think I had 72 followers.
Let's make it
Oh, 81. Okay, so this is my new page. So that's me and a pink pig.
cool. I'm about
Um,
to, oh,
so I'm starting afresh on the TikTok, but I also have the YouTube, the Facebook, and the Instagram. But I am starting fresh on the TikTok to get more followers over there. That's the new one.
there we go, 82.
Woo!
Um,
It
that
was it was at 550,000.
I know. Ugh, that's such a bummer. What a
Yeah.
weird
On
thing to
the upside,
do.
I'm going back to Africa in August.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I got a message from them yesterday. I'll just read you the message because I'll probably screw it up. Hope you're all doing well. You asked to let us know, blah, 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 blah. We have been asked to help a reserve in the northwest of South Africa. We're planning to go out to assist at the end of August. We will be trimming 2 black rhinos,
Hmm,
4 to 6 white rhinos, which are incredibly endangered,
cool.
and radio collaring a leopard.
Very cool.
And I read it to my husband, and he was like, bye.
So thanks so much for doing this. It was a lot of
Absolutely. It
fun.
was my pleasure.
Yeah, I just love sharing about what you do with the world because I think more people need to know, and hopefully people with pigs are listening. And every time you come, I'm like, this is Emily, like get on her books, call somebody who's, if she doesn't go to you, she's got people who will. And yeah, I just think like you, I just think about those pigs in those dark places that need help. And I think mostly it's just people who just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, we're definitely available. I really appreciate the chance to talk about pigs. They're obviously some of my favorites. I don't have much of a life. This is what I do every day. And I love you giving me an opportunity to talk about them. Call me back if you ever want to talk pigs again.
Oh my God, would love to.
You can also talk rhinos.
Yes,
You ever want to talk rhinos, we can do that too.
there's a lot there.
They're
Cool. Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Human Animals. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend. I'll be back next time to dive deeper into the fascinating world of human-animal connections. Until then, take a moment to appreciate the animals in your life and tell them I said hi. You can get to know me and my animals better and see upcoming guests by following at Brian Kangle, that's BrianKangal, on Instagram and TikTok. Okay, bye!